are encouraged.
Can we get a cup of coffee in here, please?
Damn good coffee and hot.
My dog is your mind's best friend.
Wake up, America. You've got a dog that needs walking. That's right, sunshine. Just put on a big pot of strong coffee and get ready to type your little hate mail with your opinions about kumbaya and flat earth insanity. Stand-up comedy? You want stand-up comedy? Well, we've got sit-down comedy. It's time for Coffee with the Dog. You make me laugh.
I'll be hating. It's giving me some problems. I'm having a choice problem. What happened to my volume? You know what? I got the wrong mic on. That mic was on because I was doing some vocals yesterday. This is a thing. The old man forgets. Anyway, whatever. Good morning, America, Canada, and any other non-shithole country. It's Tuesday, April 9th, 2024. Surprised to be here. I did not get raptured. I don't know if you did. If you did, you're not listening. I don't know if they get us in Rapture Central, the Rapture Hotel. Interesting day for you today. The erotic entrepreneur will not be with us in the second hour because she's in California and did not realize that we are not in California. So she's rescheduled for the evening program sometime in June, I think June 12th. But she won't be here today. But my friend Sonia will be here, and we're going to talk about racism. She just won a big award for a speech she gave on the subject of racism up in that Great White North there, Canada, up in Woodstock, Ontario, Canada, I believe. Anyway, so we'll talk about that, GD's favorite subject, racism, and why. What made her talk about that now? If you remember Sonia, she was on, I think early last summer, talking about her book series, Leave a Little Light on there, in which she heard a voice like, if you build it, they will come. But they said, just write it. And she basically channeled the whole 4-book series. So we'll talk about that later. Ron Kane won't be with us, at least in the early part of the program. I think he had to make an emergency comedy house call. So he won't be with us initially, but maybe join us later on. I just want to say about this thing yesterday. Listen, if I told you that tomorrow you were going to get 1 billion greenback US dollars delivered to your house, and then tomorrow morning comes and it doesn't happen, wouldn't I owe you some kind of explanation? Something? Shouldn't I at least acknowledge that I made a mistake? Now, all these people that were panicking or calling for the end of the world or the rapture or whatever they were saying about yesterday, they're not even acknowledging it. Like, nothing. They're not even saying, I made a mistake. It's got to be rescheduled. I don't know. Hold on to your ticket stubs. Whatever. They're not saying anything. They're like, oh, I never said that. It's end of the there. You can't just bear. You got to acknowledge that you fucked up. You made a mistake. And why? What went wrong with your little calculations there? solar eclipse does not always, almost never does, at least up until now, it never has equaled the end of the world. I just want a little acknowledgement that you were wrong, but you can't even do that. You can't even acknowledge that it didn't happen or that you said it was going to happen and it didn't happen. Nothing. So, you know what? Go rapture yourself. Anyway, it's time for to meet two gentlemen who are daily part of the program. Stephen the Sitcom Ortiz and Mr. Point at Your Cup, G.D. Fenderson. Oh, you're muted. Ha 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 ha. You're not muted now. Oh, that's funny. That's really funny. You don't have your mute button on, so I know you're not muted. Plus, I can hear your cat. Your cat is biting at your ass or something. Ha ha! See, made you look.
No, that's not my cat.
Hey, get out of my spot. There you go.
Oh, my bad. Sorry.
Good morning, America. MindDogTV.com. Guess what? I forgot to write something down this morning. So go to MindDogTV.com and buy shit while I play at my cup. MindDogTV.com.
In case you forget to buy something, we're going to have a reminder on MindDogTV.com that you can buy for $4.99. Just $4.99, a reminder to write something. We have a special guest with us this morning, though, an unscheduled guest. Obviously, I mentioned the erotic entrepreneur. I was kind of looking forward to that because we could use a little eroticism in the morning. But we have a special guest from somewhere in the wooded area of, I believe, Missouri, where they're getting ready to kill a guy. This guy is a member of a cult that was following the eclipse. His name is Sammy Bully. I think he's here with us now. Mr. Bully, are you there? Billy.
Hey, Matt.
I'm sorry, not Bully.
How you doing? How's everyone doing this morning?
We're doing well. Where are you? Are you in the hills of Missouri? Where are you exactly?
No, we're still on the road from the path of totality, the cult that I started a few months ago to honor this eclipse. Well, as you can see, the world is still here, and that's a problem.
I'm glad you acknowledged that because most people aren't even acknowledging that it didn't end. They just like making believe they never said anything. You were expecting the end of the world, yes?
Yeah, well, I mean, let's not get crazy, but the people that I've brought in to follow me have paid about $5,000 each to be here, and they are pissed. They are pissed.
I could imagine. I guess they ran up credit card debt and all that kind of stuff too on the way to. I would have, if I believed in it, I would have probably maxed out my credit.
Yeah, and we had some issues too with the path of totality. We were trying to drive it the entire time, and my driver, he can't drive that fast, so people were upset, and yeah, and I think they're kind of mad too that I skimped on those eclipse glasses because some of them are complaining about their eyes today. Fucking little pussies.
Oh, so you just bought like regular sunglasses and basically let them look?
Yeah, I pulled out my Bible and I said, it says right here in chapter 5, verse 6, Proverbs 82:92, look at the eclipse, motherfucker. But that's what it said. So, I mean, what do you want from me?
I think we need a fact check on that. I'm not sure. I'm not like a Bible scholar, but I think somebody needs to check on that.
That's in the new millennial version. That's in the new millennial version. That's right after Second Opinions.
Yeah, exactly. And like, my neck is still killing me from the drive. We're somewhere currently in Idaho, I think. I don't know.
Idaho.
Now, did you guys have the group orgy there in Idaho? Were you planning that, or did you guys plan on doing it in a moving truck on the path of totality? I was just curious how that worked out.
It's always the same with you guys. Just because someone starts a religious cult, it has to be orgies and all sorts of sexual things. No, we are a completely self-masturbatory group. That's what we do in a group. We don't gangbang. What do you think we are? Sickos?
We thought you were
Okay.
Navikium. I thought, like cults. I think all cults have a sexual element to it, though. No, oh, you're not banging anybody in the cult.
Just
Not
themselves, it
currently. I
sounds
mean,
like.
the thing about running a cult, you gotta wear a lot of different hats. You know, you gotta be able you gotta be able to
Oh,
just talk to people like a normal person. Now, like when we have
that's
our
how a normal
ceremonies,
person talks. All right.
yeah, when
Uh,
we have our ceremony of induction, I will wear this hat to show the women that I am fully aroused without being naked.
well, that's
All right.
nice.
Okay.
Just
Yeah.
know
Now
I'm fully aroused right now, everybody.
I know I'm a little
I
aroused,
figured that.
to
Yeah.
be honest with you.
I'm fully
Now,
bricked over here. I'm not even gonna lie.
wow.
But yeah, that's good to hear because especially since the world didn't end, I need a different I need a
Now,
different
has it been
look.
rescheduled? This the end of the world? Are you continuing on? Do you have plans for another round of world-ending fun?
I think I might. I mean, this has been pretty fun being this cult leader, but I'm gonna have to take a break for a bit because I think the next one's not like until 2042, and the way some of these, like I said, the way some of these people have been acting ever since the world didn't end, they've been getting on my nerves, and I got to teach them lessons and things like that, like the Lord would want. Like this one guy, Jimmy, man, he's always complaining, but when the Lord choked him out last night in his sleep, he realized the word is true.
Wow. Interesting. Now, so all these people are they basically homeless now? Did they give up their homes? Do they have any place to go, or are they with you forever?
Well, no, 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 they got a place to live. I am not heartless, everybody. I made them sign a 20-year lease. Now they have to pay me, $700 a month to live on my compound. And if you want to know what my compound is like, it's a beautiful half-acre lot with a swing set. So what more do you want?
Is there interest in your compound? I mean, is there compound interest?
Compound interest.
There's going to be, and there's going to be so much pounding interest.
Uh,
Knew it.
this,
I fucking knew it.
this is well. It's
Hey, hey,
about time somebody took at least acknowledged that the predictions weren't wrong, weren't right. Now,
I
do you
appreciate
know
that as
what
well.
went wrong with this? With the where did we go wrong? How did this? How were we so wrong about this?
well, I think the reason we were wrong, like after the eclipse happened and we were all let down, I made a good call to my friend RFK Jr. And he said to me that the reason the eclipse didn't end the world is because those Jewish space lasers got involved yesterday. Because I'm not sure if you noticed, there was some other bright lights in the sky, and we all know what that was.
Right. Well, we don't all know what that was, but that kind of gives it some explanation about what it was. Um, Jewish space lasers. Now, how do we know they're Jewish? Are they circumcised? I mean, how do we tell that the lasers are actually Jewish?
That I don't know. I mean, I
Cheap?
guess you could.
We got them cheap. Is that?
I think they go when they go off, they go shalom.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't. Yeah, I can't say. I mean, I'd have to talk to my good friend Bobby. That's what I call him. Bobby Kennedy. Uh, I just got to talk to Bobby and find out what the deal is.
Interesting. All right. So I guess you're going to be continuing on with this cult. This cult. I guess we'll continue to call it a cult. Now, do you have an official like name of the cult? Is it just like it's not like Heaven's Gate or any? Do you have you branded it? A
Oh yeah,
marketing
yeah.
person.
Sorry, Matt, but we actually took the name of your institute because of those 42 children that you have. So we are the cult of the 11 Finger Institute. You're welcome for that.
Oh, well, thank you. By the way, I
Pretty
put
nice.
out a reel last night for people who are interested in enjoying the suffering. I asked AI to create and enjoy the suffering reel. It's pretty good. But they changed the language on it a little bit to the beauty and brokenness, but it gets the point across.
Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned suffering because every day I have to listen to at least 3 or 4 people say, "Oh, we're suffering, we're suffering." That's not my problem.
Right.
That's a middle manager problem in the cult. Not me.
Do you have middle management in the cult? I mean, a structure, a corporate structure there.
Oh yeah, we have it all. We have a whole org chart. So that way when people can, when they have problems, they don't have to bring all that stuff to me. Because, I'm with God and we don't want to listen to your problems all the time. So that's why we have
No,
middle managers.
I
So
hear
is
you.
there a trial membership before full on joining just to see if if you feel comfortable, if you fit in, or do you just have to go full pull and just go for it?
I think you just need to visit me and you will sit down and you can show me what that mouth does on the scripture and we'll see what happens.
You had me
Interesting.
at sit down and see what that mouth does, so I might be making a visit. As long as I can get in there, I'll be there.
You know
That's
what would
just
be good? Oh, I'm
yeah.
sorry. You can answer our friend Steven there if you
Oh,
like.
I was just going to say, yeah, it's a very important. It keeps us all very relaxed.
I'm pretty relaxed
Great.
right now.
Okay.
But I gotta admit, I'm a little bit tense about my first guest, who I was definitely certain would show up on time, and I was a little concerned that we might not have enough time to talk to you because she was going to show up exactly on time. She's a little late, so I'm going to have to write her an email.
She's
But
pregnant.
what would be really helpful is like a outline on how to start a cult. Have you any? Can you give us any kind of, I don't know, primer on how to start a cult? Because I would like to someday maybe start a
Oh,
cult.
yeah. I mean, I would suggest that most people should do it. The first thing you'll want to do is probably get a career in sales, like a car salesman, because that teaches you the basics of just lying to people on a daily basis.
That
I mean,
makes
not
sense.
lying, it's
Yeah,
stretching the
yeah,
truth.
right.
What if
Then
you
you're
have
going
a
to have to.
background? What if you have a background in politics? Would that be beneficial?
What
Oh,
was
you're
that? You were
always
breaking up.
What if you have a background in politics? Would that be beneficial?
no. His background is trees. Look,
Oh, that's I'm sorry. Yes, you're right. I didn't. Yeah,
his background
never
is the
mind.
woods.
I stand corrected.
I don't see a damn politician back there now. Are they wild animal? Where are you in? It looks like you're in nature. Like you're not really anywhere near like civilization at all.
Well, no, we're actually at a truck stop because we ran out of money. So some of my supporters are in the bathroom, helping out and getting us some money for the road.
Oh, the old rub and tug for a little bit of gas money. Now, this is interesting to me. How many people are in the cult?
It depends. Like on this trip, we took about 25 with us all in this car. It's a bit cramped, but we manage.
25 at $5,000 a piece, and you ran out of money.
Yeah, well, I mean, that money is like, Matt, just like any corporation, that money goes into a different bucket.
Oh, yeah,
And
expenses. Yeah, overhead. I get it.
yeah, and since we're in a precarious times, I have to work in all cash with me. So honestly, I can't trust these people with having money around. I got to keep that shit locked up.
Gotcha. All right. Well, we wish you good luck out there, and with the cult and whatever. Maybe check back in next end of the world, or even if it's like a close to the end of the world event, like like most of humanity will die, but some people will be left, or whatever you have happening there. Just
Yeah,
check in sometime.
yeah,
All right. Well,
Matt, we can only hope. We can only
we
hope.
can only hope. All right. Well, have a great day, and bye for now. Sammy Billy, folks. You guys talk amongst yourselves. I'm gonna get in touch with Sonia and say where are you? GD's waiting to hear about racism.
No, I'm going to make sure she's not pregnant. She's a little late.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that could be, with the
That's
whole end of
true.
the world not
Because
happening,
if
they
she's
could have
pregnant, we
celebrated
have to
last night.
push it. Yeah, you realize what state is she in? Canada probably still has
She's in
abortion.
Woodstock, Ontario, Canada.
Okay, they probably still have abortions, so that I was gonna say otherwise, if she was like local, we'd have to push her down the stairs.
She's not an abortion type of person. She's a very nice young lady, but she's all about love and new aginess and all that kind of stuff.
Right, which means you could be pro-choice. Yeah,
I think she's pro-choice, but she's not necessarily pro-abortion. You can be pro-choice, but not pro-abortion, right? Right?
No,
Do you agree?
no. When you're pro-choice, you have to choose to get rid of it. The choice is how you get rid of it. That's what the pro-choice is.
I'm going to get rid of you. We're going to abort you right now.
Oh man. Well, while GD is possibly either in or out, I have today's holidays and observances.
Okay.
And
before you do that, just let me come back to a comment that we have from Willie. You know, remember Willie? Remember years ago there was a guy named Willie. He's in the chat room.
Steamboat Willie?
I don't know. It's just Willie. Just a Willie. Well, I think it was Power Chord Willie.
Oh, yeah, Bilbo Conway.
Yeah. He says, don't forget to push Steven's buttons today. I don't know what that's about. Why am I pushing Steven's buttons?
Could be because the world didn't end, but that'd be the only thing I could think
were you looking forward to that?
A little bit, but you know, we don't always get what we want.
I think it's because his hat shapes like a one of those Game Boy hand control things.
All right.
Like a PlayStation. That's what it is. He's wearing a PlayStation hat, and so Willie is saying push his buttons.
Push his oh, well, he is a gamer. Steven is well known in the Twitch world for twitching and gaming. Gaming is twitching while gaming.
So that's my theory. Of course, without Willie here to make a 14-minute explanation from a 12-second comment, I don't know.
Right. I wonder yeah, whatever. Now Steven has a list. We're having a problem with Twitch. I don't know. Did I get removed from Twitch or what's going on with Twitch? But we're not connected on Twitch right now. Steven has a list of days that today are. Today is. Today are? Is it today are? Today is. Today are.
What is today? What yeah. Yeah, what them today? Yeah. So yeah, today's observances and holidays.
Okay.
Hey Ron, how are you, buddy?
Good. How are you doing?
I wanted to say Ron Kane somehow
not
finished
bad.
up his comedy emergency house call that he had. Somebody was dying for a joke.
Exactly.
Dying to laugh.
They were probably at HMAC last night then.
It looked like that Mr. Tongue thing was booming last night, according to the pictures I saw. It looked like he had I don't know, 150, 200 comics or something.
Yeah, but still only 2 jokes.
Oh.
Yeah.
No. Anyway, today is...
All right, so today is National Winston Churchill Day.
What?
So
Winston... What?
Yeah, it's Winston Churchill Day. And for an explanation
But wait a minute. He was not in this national, and maybe in the UK it's National Winston Churchill, but he's not a national here.
Apparently it's celebrated worldwide.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I would think that the day would be Winston-Salem Day here in Winston Churchill.
You know, because the thing went over Winston-Salem, right? Or no, it went over Salem, Massachusetts. All right, I'm wrong.
Aren't those towns like right next to each
I thought
other?
Winston-Salem was in North Carolina, where the tobacco plantations were, and Salem is in Massachusetts.
Whoa! They have plantations in North Carolina. When was this?
Yeah, 159 years ago.
Oh, that explains why I don't know anything about it. That was way before I was born.
Right. Okay. What else? What else we got today?
Winston
Churchill Day.
We got Winston Churchill Day. Appomattox Day.
All right.
Which is the Battle of Appomattox, the end of the Civil War.
That wasn't a battle. That was the surrender at Appomattox was today. Generally surrendered to General Grant on this day in 1865.
So he was also submissive.
So Giant Pussy Day. Got it.
Got it, yeah.
Okay. Baton Day.
Yeah,
that's the thing. I don't In Edinburgh, it's Science Festival Day. International ASMR Day.
Wait,
so
I think it's called Edinburgh. Edinburgh. We say it Edinburgh because we're American, because there's a G there, but they say it Edinburgh.
Edinburgh,
like Raymond.
Okay.
Okay.
Interesting. There's International Be Kind to Lawyers Day.
Be kind to what?
Be kind to lawyers. Now, also, I think you said the other one
Day.
wrong. I think you mispronounced the other one. I think you said ASMR Day. And that's not how you say it. It's pronounced like this.
What is that? What is AXMR Day? What?
ASMR is it's the body's response to certain sounds and actions. So like people chewing real close to the microphone.
That explains that joke that wasn't funny.
It is funny to the right people. See, that's just it. Matt, you do not comprise the entirety of comedy. There are other people who find other parts of comedy funny.
No, I
feel like I need law enforcement for how close to my ears you were.
I am the arbiter of all things that are funny. I have the final. I'm like the Supreme Court of funny. When we appeal it to me, and then
you're the Clarence Thomas of funny. Then I
would rather be like a Brett Kavanaugh of funny.
No, you're the Clarence Thomas.
No, I like beer.
No, yeah, but you're the Clarence Thomas of funny.
I don't really like Coke, and you know, my friend Alex Jones told me a long time ago to stay away from Coke cans. I think that's why, because of the whole Clarence Thomas thing. But so I'm not really a big fan of Coke. But I do like beer. We have more days. Do we have more days?
There's
You're
a couple
muted.
more. Jumbo Day. Yes, there's a Jumbo Day.
Jumbo? You're not muted. Yeah, you were just on delay. We saw your mouth move, but nothing came out. So Jumbo Day.
Gotcha. Okay.
Is that for shrimp, eggs? What
Jumbo
are we talking?
Day.
What does that mean? Oh, Dumbo.
Jumbo the elephant.
Dumbo.
Jumbo.
I thought you said Jumbo. Now, there's a part of Brooklyn they call Dumbo. It was never Dumbo before. I think they just started calling it Dumbo in the last 10 years or something.
No, Jumbo. So the cartoon Dumbo was written after the elephant whose name was Jumbo, according to this.
All right.
Yes. I can finally use my ivory hairbrush then today.
Well, Ed, if you have
nobody's going to see your pubes anyway, so you don't have to brush them today just for us.
Yeah.
And then my favorite is National Cherish an Antique Day, and I think that's fitting so we can show some true appreciation to Matt.
All right.
Without you, we wouldn't be here together today. So.
Right. Okay. Well, right now we're going to meet. You know what? Let me play a commercial, and then you guys will meet for the first time Sonia Pollack, who's she's given a award-winning speech on the subject of racism, GD's favorite topic.
Well, technically, my favorite topic is me, but right after me, racism.
Well, they're kind of tied together, right? You being a racist and all.
Well, yeah, but I don't like to talk about my racism.
I think Sonia's going to tell us that we're all racist.
We are.
Not me. I mean, you guys, not me. Anyway, one company that is definitely not racist is InVideo. You can't get them to say anything racist.
I have so many issues with InVideo. So many issues.
Let's say they're our sponsors, so you don't have any issues with them that you can talk about online or in public.
And I'm a paying customer. I paid for the package. I can't use the fucking thing the way I want to use it.
Oh, watch the language there, buddy.
I didn't mean to say pay. I said pay. I didn't mean to say pay. I put it on my debit card. How's
okay. InVideo is the best. Now, what I've noticed about InVideo is they're very positive. Like I asked them to create something about John Mayer, the guitar player, whether he was an egomaniac or not. And they just couldn't do it. It took like 7 re-edits of like, no, say something about him being an egomaniac. Because all they want to do is say nice things about people, no matter how negative the story might be.
That's because it was designed by attorneys. They're designed by the AI. They said that the A in AI stands for attorneys.
Attorneys involved.
Yeah,
But
attorneys involved. That's it.
Yeah,
if I
that's
asked
AI.
you to do something like about Bill Cosby, they would talk about the Cosby Show and what a great
Or
father
pudding.
figure is, and
safe
they would
route, yep.
ignore
Or
any
I
of the.
Spy.
Yeah,
That's why you
Alright.
have to re-edit it
Or
yourself and make
Chet
that
Kincaid. Yeah, but you can't really change the voice yourself. If like it's in an English woman's voice, how can I actually go in and change that? So
I think the default for English woman is actually Hawking, isn't it? That's
Okay.
the English woman default.
Anyway, other than that, there are absolutely no issues with InVideo whatsoever. Let's watch the.
Hey there, fellow content creators. Are you tired of seeing your YouTube channel growth at a snail's pace? Well, I've got some good news for you. InVideo is here to supercharge your channel growth. With InVideo, you can create eye-catching and engaging videos in a flash. Say goodbye to spending hours editing and perfecting your content. InVideo's user-friendly interface makes it a breeze to create professional-looking videos in no time. But that's not all. InVideo offers a treasure trove of customizable templates, so you can easily tailor your videos to your unique style and brand. Stand out from the crowd and leave a lasting impression on your viewers. And the best part, InVideo is not just a video editing tool, it's a one-stop shop for all your YouTube needs. From creating thumbnails to adding subtitles, InVideo has got you covered every step of the way. So what are you waiting for? Give your YouTube channel the boost it deserves with InVideo. Join the ranks of successful content creators who have used InVideo to skyrocket their channel growth. Trust me, you won't regret it.
No,
Man, that hangs on there a little. Looks like Steven got raptured. Something happened. I think he got called up. We wish him well up there. If he could.
Speaking of raptured, I was using
get out of my spot.
My assistant Dolly Parton last night.
Oh no!
And she got ruptured. Yeah, as opposed to rapture, she got ruptured. I have to
popped. In other words, popped.
Let's just say she didn't survive the show. I have to replace her with another Dolly Parton too.
All right, we're gonna segue to a much more serious conversation here. So it'll be like your comedy.
More serious than my sex doll being there's nothing more serious than Dolly Parton being destroyed. Not to replace it. That's it.
Oh, I thought you cared about racism because we're going to talk a little bit about racism.
I care about money more. I got to buy another doll.
Wow, that's oh my god.
Which could be embarrassing. Anyway, no, I
go back into the same store. Say I need another doll.
Right.
This one got punctured.
Before any of you guys were part of the program, last summer sometime, I think Willie was part of the program, but he wasn't part of the conversation I had with Sonia originally. Sonia is an author who wrote 10 books worth of pages, but ended up being a four book series of books that it was kind of channeled or inspired in the way that Ray Kinsella was told to build a baseball field. She heard a voice that said, write that book. And I'm wondering, she just gave a speech, an award-winning speech on a topic of racism. And I'm wondering what prompted that. Was it another voice? Let's say hello to my friend, Sonia Pollack. Wait, let's put it down here. Welcome back, Sonia. Good to see you.
There's a phone call.
Good to see you. Yeah, I'm trying to hang up the phone.
Oh, you got a phone call?
Oh, I don't know. I tried to unplug it, but it's like still plugged in. Let me hit that.
So, how are things in Woodstock? Did you get to see? The totality whatever it is, totality
totalitarian?
I did. I drove. London didn't have it completely. I'm in London, but I drove it maybe half an hour south.
Wow.
And, I saw the total solar eclipse. It was actually really moving. It was profound. When that disappeared and it was completely blacked out, I just had this moment of really deep feeling for the planet, like how connected we are, like that the sun just left, even for a second. It's like I just felt like, wow, we need the sun, we need the planet, we need the people. You know, we're all here together and we need each other.
If that were true, now I hate to be a naysayer, you know that, but if that were true, there wouldn't be just one little line of it. It would be the whole North America at one, because I didn't know. and I didn't do my research. And me and my wife bought the glasses and a filter for her camera, and we sat out on the front lawn, and it never got even remotely dark. It wasn't even like
so you're in a
cloudy day here.
Unless you're in that zone where it's completely blacked out, right, where you're going to see it total. And as soon as it goes totally black, like when you have the special glasses on and you're staring at it, as soon as it completely blocks out, you can't see anything with the glasses. It's just black. You can take the glasses off and then look at it, and you see it like a black sun, basically, with like a halo around it. It's and the shadowing and the way the world looks without the sun shining on you is different. It's cold and it's eerie almost, like, and it's very profound in that, to stand in it, because you realize we need the sun, and the sun has to come back, and it coming back is like this big release. Like, I felt like, thank God, like it can't stay like that. And that's sort of us in a sense,
I get depressed when there's nobody needs to tell me how important the sun is, because in wintertime, and I have seasonal affective disorder. I don't know if that's necessarily a real diagnosis, but I know I get bummed out from like October until April. It's a bad time for me, and but I was waiting for something very profound, but I ended up just sitting on my lawn for a half hour wasting time, and then nothing happened, and come back in the house.
So the partial eclipse is less exciting.
So, all right. So anyway, well, thank you for coming back, and thank you for explaining your profound. Well, I'm glad you had a profound moment. Somebody did.
Also, in my neighborhood, it looked like the city. There was a movie, I think it was called City of Angels, where all the angels would gather at the beach and they'd watch the sunrise.
Right, Megan, Nick.
Was Meg Ryan in it, maybe?
Yeah, Nick.
Okay,
Meg Ryan.
So that's what it was like in my neighborhood. I drove by the Safeway, and there's all these people standing in the parking lot, and they're just staring at the sun. And I drove up to one of them, actually to two of them, and I said, "Do you realize that had y'all done this yesterday, you would just look like a bunch of kooks? And if you do this tomorrow, you'll look like a bunch of kooks. But today, you just look crazy."
I was completely disappointed by how undark it got where I was at 99.8% coverage. It was just like I had sunglasses on.
Well, in my neighborhood, they were afraid if it got too dark, the one black person that lives in our neighborhood would rob everybody else that weren't, So they were like relieved. They were like praying that it didn't get too dark, and they were watching me to make sure that I didn't go near their houses if it got too dark.
We had the opposite effect. It turned all of Indiana into a sundown town, and it was horrible.
Let's forget there was even an event yesterday and talk about the what we're here to talk about today. Now I'm interested.
Thank you, my doll. Thank you. That's
no,
come on, no, GD. No,
I might have to take him out.
Oh, we probably shouldn't talk about that on the air. That leads to evidence.
So
just get off the show. Okay.
By the way, I didn't even introduce you to the gentleman up above. G.D. Fenderson, Ron Kane, and Stephen the Sitcom Ortiz. They are three comedians who have been with me for a while now.
You called me a comedian. You heard that?
Yes, I'm all about the stand-up. I love comedy.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't stand up, so we might not get
Steve
along afterwards.
It's less fear, more fun. That's what the world is.
For just to recap for them, last time you were here, we were talking about your book, Leave a Little Light On. You wrote 600,000 pages. However, 10 books worth of material,
and then it got distilled down to these four. So this is the book series, and
the book is basically a kind of a spiritual book, because lately we've adopted, I don't know, maybe it's just because I said the words, enjoy the suffering. Now, the book is really about that. It's about understanding all the pain and or the book series. It's about dealing with trauma and understanding that it's part of your past, and then making the best of your life anyway. Is that a fair assessment of?
Yeah, that's part of it. I think that it's like, I mean, I've understood it more going forward now that they're out, sort of what it does to people. So when people text me or email me, people will write to me like lengthy, dialogues about this book series and what it did for them and how it helped them heal. And yeah, it was literally a guy's voice. Like, I'm an orthodontist on a regular day, and a man's voice said, "It's time to write." And I jumped out of bed, got the pen, started writing these books, and they just come out of me. Like, and I'm still writing, and just like different books now coming out of me. There's my destiny, I think, is to do this, is to channel these messages, this book's divine message, specifically for people who come from trauma. This is like, as Athena is, this girl in the book. When we have trauma when we're young, we do not have the same references, the frames of reference for the world and the way the world operates. And the majority of us have this trauma, like the majority of people. And when you come from trauma, you have an intense fear. It develops in us a very intense fear of not belonging. And what that means is it's very difficult to come away from the system of separation that exists in society.
Right.
And ultimately, where the books lead, they're following this little girl's journey from the age of 3, and you see through the 70s and 80s and how this society was and what it instilled in her through, her family, media, religion, and what she adopted and what she rejected. But then ultimately, sort of where it leads her to a point of confrontation about what she's holding as a belief in herself, which is that skin color matters because her parents had told her, if you don't marry someone white, you're not our daughter. And so this, like, what it does to people is actually catches them in their own thoughts. Because when someone reads this book, if they're relating to Athena all the way along, is when you get to this point in the book, if you think like this girl, which a lot of people do, they might have that thought and be like, oh yeah, shit, he's black. They can't get together. It's not as good. It's not what's wanted. It's not how the story is supposed to end. The next page, Athena comes to the conclusion that she's racist. And this is confronting to the reader because the reader is all about it, like following her train of thought, like
right. Relating
why it is. Yes, you understand the reasons why. And this was what was in my own journey, in my own life prior to these books. What happened to me is that I was confronted by this thought. And basically it was when I got divorced and separated. I met this gentleman and invited him to a house party I had, and we kissed at the end of the night. And right away, right that night, brushed my teeth, and I was thinking about him, and I thought it'd be better if you were white. And it was that thought that I had that halted me, like, because in my mind, I was not a racist, and I don't think like that. And I wanted immediately to dismiss this thought. This doesn't belong to me. That's just society. But it's like it stared into my eyes. I was like, dude, you gotta think hard now, because if you think that, you got something wrong in you, and that has to come out, because either you're a racist or you're walking straight and aligned with what you believe in the world. And holding myself accountable for that thought started this journey. And that's what this speech that I gave. So where I was called to give this speech, to write this speech, is about this, because racism belongs to all of us. This is not something that belongs to one group. And right now I see it. The world really, really tiptoes around this word. It's like a bomb goes off in the room. When I gave this speech, and you can see it on Instagram or YouTube, that when you hear this silence when I'm speaking, it's not audioed in. Like, you could have heard a pin drop in that room. There's 300 people there. It was like a collective, like breath, holding your breath. What am I going to say? But the journey is that the majority of people, the majority of racists, are good and kind people. And I say it like this: I don't want to hear about prejudices, stereotypes, biases. These are just softer words for racist. There is no way around it. We either believe skin color matters or we don't. And that, to me, this is the system of separation to varying degrees. You're going to have somebody who would want to hurt somebody because they have a different skin color. Someone who's good and kind, who says, well, racism is just the way it is. I can't change it. I don't know what to do about it. But you are acknowledging it. You're giving your energy to the belief that it matters, instead of saying racism is not the way it is. We're equal. And this is a new way of being. And there's only these two ways, because the system of separation that we were born into, that we were indoctrinated into, that we've been conditioned into, and now that and you can't get people out of it with shame or guilt. We have to come from compassion, understanding, transparency, vulnerability. Yes, I said this. Yes, I thought this. I also held myself accountable for it, and it was like Shawshank to get out of there. I had to go through a shit field to get out of what was in me from the fear of not belonging. And I recognize that that intense fear is because I came from trauma. So for me personally, I needed security. And part of the security that's provided in the system of separation happens to be a default because of the color of my skin. It's not illogical to have watched Rodney King getting dragged out of his car and beat the snot out of, and as a teenager, and think it's better to be white. Like, that's not an illogical thought, except that that's not a good thought to have, because it isn't better to be white. This is an example of how people are acting. You know, defaulting to it's better to be white means that I believe that the skin color is the reason I'm safer, and it isn't holding people accountable for their actions. Racism isn't the way it is. We are equal, but we are acting like we're not. And that statement, verbal statement, if you don't change one thing about your life, I want every human being to start articulating that we are equal and we are acting like we're not. Because when we say, well, racism just the way it is, there's nothing I can do. I was not my fault. I didn't create it. I don't know. It's just society. Everybody knew what I meant when I said it. And I'm like, how do you know what I mean when I say it's better if he's white? How do you know that? Unless you're racist, unless you're holding this same belief. You've got beliefs.
Let me just interrupt for a second, because the words matter, right? And I always equate racism with hate, or an ism is using power towards to enforce that hate. An ism is definitely is indicative of a system or an ideology that is used to enforce hate. Now, I think
Like
prejudice can exist without that. We can all have natural fears. You know, I think the fear of something that's different, or someone that is different, is kind of, it's a natural thing. Animals have it too. It's not just based on human beings. I've seen cats who don't trust cats that don't look like them.
Skin color doesn't matter though, Matt. This is just a simple way of the system. This system of separations, it's maniacal, how it works. It's based on fear and lack and separation, and all the ways that we could be duped by semantics. Because if skin color is just like if suddenly I just say, let's just start saying that your shoe size is what's going to delineate whether or not you're safe in this world, okay? And we're all going to have to throw on and like look at feet and measure feet. People will be like, that's ridiculous. So we're not going to do that because it doesn't matter. Right now, we've already got there. Like, that skin color is this, it's an identifier, but everything on the vessel that's identifiable are the ways that we are valued. And so actually, when I healed my racism, I healed my sexism. I never felt like an equal person in this world, not ever, until I was 50 years old. As a woman, I believed that it was better to be a man, because it was demonstrated to me. Men had more rights, they made more money, they did what they wanted, they seemed easier going. My dad was an abusive alcoholic, he did whatever the hell he wanted, we all had to tiptoe around him. As a woman, as a young girl and a woman, I always felt like I was pawed in dental school, and I'm not going to complain. I grew up in the time when if a girl got raped, she was a slut. Like, you know, what were you wearing? Like, she was put on trial. It was like all of those ways of thinking of growing up here. And then you say it's better to be a man because look at all the advantages. Now, when I healed that racism, I suddenly saw the perspective. I don't need you to pay me equal. I don't need you to talk to me with respect. It'd be nice if you did, because you're acting poorly if you don't. But I am equal when I say I'm equal, when I see that I'm equal. Because I believe that I'm not, then my energy goes to sexism. And because I believe that this skin color matters, my energy is supporting this system. This whole system of separation is a belief system. So if I believe it, my energy is there. And I am a kind person. So the majority of people, there's only treachery at a 1% level. 99, the treachery exists. How can people have been so treacherous with us? our other humans, and us not be in complete revolt and disgust over their behavior and lock that down and say, no way. We all sort of went like this, like, oh, wow, because it's based in fear, and where we land is good enough. And so I can't risk not belonging here because this is a cruel society and I got to be safe. And because I come from trauma, I can't just let go because there's just a drop. And I don't want to be over there because it's risky and it's dangerous because we see how the others are treated. But if you don't become the other, you will never become the one.
What does that mean?
You are the one in your life, and to actualize your soul and to know your journey and to actualize becoming what you are, becoming love, liberating your soul, becoming free, becoming one love. We have to release this system of separation and we have to walk forward in a sense of knowingness that it's going to be okay when you let go of it. What we've been afraid of not belonging is actually what's keeping us in fear and anxiety and separation.
My very first best friend in life was a black girl, at like 1 year old. My very first best friend was a black girl. Then, not long after that, I got I don't know. I ended up with a Chinese family and living with them as part of their family for about a week. And so I'm thinking, as a toddler, that was not in me. And some of my best friends throughout grade school were black kids, and I remember that being not necessarily accepted by people around me. I'm just wondering, where do you think it is a natural born thing, or it's obviously learned, right, from environment and behavior around us?
100%. I believe now that, like, humans, my theory is humans do not have an innate need to belong. We have an innate need for love, but our concept of love and belonging, like that these two things are synonymous, I think that's throw that out the window. Belonging implies separation. Separation has to precede belonging. And you have to have an awareness to want to belong. As a child, you don't have that. If you're fed, clothed, hugged, loved. We have a need for love, just to be held. It's not like we don't know who's holding us. We don't judge them for holding us, like, and in any way, until we are taught that, and we are taught and shown how the system works. And Matt, it's not to say you are or you aren't. Only any one person will know. But what's like I find interesting? It's like if I poll anybody, no one's racist. Nobody's affected by it. Nobody will say it. Nobody has a racist thought. Nobody thinks anything because they've had a friend who's black or Chinese or whatever. They all say no. And I say, okay, so if I'm the only one, then problem solved. Okay, I'll tell you that right now. Like, I'm the only one. It's in us. And this is what I'm saying. It isn't, if you've thought this, that it's just the way it is. Racism is just the way it is. There's nothing I can do about it. It's always going to be there. These are statements that I heard that I know people say. And, well, when people are confronted by it, like people trying to get people out of their way of thinking, will confront a room full of white people and say, would you change and want to be black? And okay, people wouldn't say a thing. And they say, well, that proves that you know what's going on. And so you're racist. And
I've used that.
Very, very much no, but that is like shaming somebody into saying, and in our minds, we would just say logically, no, because I'm intelligent, because I can see that black people aren't treated well in this society. So why the F would I ever want to be there? No, thank you. But I'm not a bad person. I don't want them to be hurt either, but I don't know how to change it. But it's this belief that you could say a black person is just any person. Our skin color is not a delineator of value. It is simply not. And we use it every single day in every single way. If somebody says to me, they think that there's such a thing as white privilege, I'm going to tell that person and tell you right now, that's a racist statement, because it means literally that you think it's better to be white. Because That's privilege. Privilege means something better, something more. It's better to be white because there is such a thing as white privilege. It's not. It is not better to be white. It is simply we are equal, but we treat white people with lighter skin preferentially, and we act that way. That is an act and a game that we play, and it's time to put the pieces away and put that box on. We are done with that, and we have to delineate this. It is not the way it is, it's the way we act, because as soon as we attach action to it, people are acting this way, people are doing these things, people are treating others differently based on this, then we have a conscious choice to not act that way, and it also holds someone accountable for their action. We cannot simply default, as it has been defaulted to, this is the way it is, and white privilege this and white privilege that. Stop reinforcing this idea that there is such a thing as being better to be white. It is not. No,
I don't necessarily agree with that. I think when we talk about white privilege, we're talking about the way you're treated by people in power. There's no denying that in America, at least, white people are given the benefit of the doubt from police officers more than black people are. Would you agree with that?
100%.
Well,
and I would say
so
that
that's the privilege I get is of being white. I'm not going to get harassed as much as GD would be.
So this is what I'm saying. So there is in the reality, and this is what is the reality, okay? Because we're going to talk about that our thoughts are going to create our reality. Our reality is persisting in a system of separation because we are unwilling to do, and I don't want one thing changed, just change the articulation of how this is expressed, okay? Because this is where people got to get their head around this. In this reality, in a new earth where we are equal, and there is no advantage to being lighter skin, darker skin, to being a woman or a man. If we were all equal, this would be equal. And I will say, but instead we're choosing to continue to act unjustly to people. Now, you would say that's based on color. It's also based on gender. It's also based on sexual orientation. It's also based on age, on beauty, on all of it. All of the ways that we are valued, that you can look at a vessel and say, you're worthy, you're not, you're worth more. Once I got divorced, I knew, boy, my stock's falling. I'm over 40, down. Like this is, and I'm worrying because like now I'm broke. Everything went to my ex. Okay, like now, do you really think I want to say, oh, I'm a racist now too? And I'm walk out of this? No, because I'm going to get crushed. Okay, it's unsafe. Except that I knew that if I didn't make this move and sort of go through this thought process and really undo and unravel, where did this thought come from? Why am I thinking it's better to be white? If I just default right back, and I'm telling you, this took me months because it would be this circular argument, right? It's better to be white. No, it isn't better to be white, but it is better to be white because people don't stop it. But it's not better to be white, but it is better to be white, but it's not, but it is, but it's not. So you're going to go back and forth like this ping pong ball in your head. And what it boils down to is that it's this way that we're arranging this thought in our minds because it's so deeply ingrained in a belief system that this matters, that this skin color is legit. And this is where I go back to just pick any other trait that we would just want to implement today, and it would sound ridiculous. It's preposterous that people got people to believe that skin color was a way to make people feel less and that everybody got on board with it. Like, it's almost inconceivable when you recognize how ridiculous this is. Yet it exists. And so it's this circular argument of like, but it is because I see it with my eyes. It's demonstrated to me on TV. I can see it with someone who's goes into a shop. Yes, they're treated differently. And this is the experience that they speak to. And I have to acknowledge that that's going on. What I want is for people to start articulating, we are equal. This is not the way it is, because in the greater cosmos, in the greater picture of this reality of higher consciousness, where we are fully aware of what we are, who we are, it's not real. This is a game that has been set up for people to lose and people to win. And we are playing it. And if we play it, we are part of it.
I agree with that, but here's the thing that I think where what you're talking about gets hung up. We can address all our own shortcomings individually, but on a societal level, there are people who will refuse to hear any of this stuff, and there's no way we can. You can't change somebody else. You can only you can only change yourself.
But this is my point: is that and what I believed in. Gandhi's words, be the change. I thought if I'm going to say the words, I am not a racist, I better fucking mean it. I better be aligned with the way that I think that the next person, and what it changed for me was so dynamic, so freeing. It is so worth it to go through this shit train to get out of this way of thinking, because you do have to, because when you see it the way I do, you will feel guilty and ashamed. You will. It's inevitable. We being part of a system that hurt people, killed people, maimed people. It is impossible for your human heart not to feel bad. Okay? And that's okay. I can sit and feel bad for a period of time, given the atrocities that it's perpetrated on others. That's fine. I'll work through it and I'll forgive myself because I didn't create it. I'm trying to do the work. I'm going to get out of here. And then I liberated my soul. I mean, I'm free. I can speak my truth. I know who I am. I know I am love. And that is being peace. It's like I felt safe for the first time in this world when I got out of it, because I'm not susceptible to this judgment. I just stopped judgment. It's like, and what that means when you don't recognize skin color, when you don't actually see it, you have no biases. You have no stereotypes because you have never met anyone in the world. You're just going to meet the next person. Like when I meet you, it's like I just see you, I meet you, and now I know you and about your doll, and I think, okay, well, he's got issues with his doll, and he's like this guy, I'm going to get these pieces from this person, and I'm not going to lump him. He's not part of any group. He is a universe unto himself. He is one, alone. This person, and this is his design. And it is in all the ways nuanced to be him. And I don't identify with being white anymore. I'm not part of a big group. You've never met me. I'm not a Karen. You can't come up on me and say and you could. And I'd say, well, that's where you are in your journey. And that's where people are at. It's my role to sort of say this now. I'm going to be this megaphone of this is what it is. Please. Let's just articulate, because if your truth is that you want peace and you want us to be one, then start articulating that we are one, and start recognizing that this is a belief system. And if I believe it, then I have to unbelieve it. I have to learn the truth of what it is, that we are equal, and I have to change my vision and recognize certain people, yes, just acting. But when I start to be this example, if I get one more person in my lifetime to do it, I will speak to the end of my days about this, because every person that I come into contact with, everywhere I go, I'm going to be an advocate for this, for love, for one love, for equal human beings on this planet. And that lends us to safety, to peace, to oneness, to compassion, to, just a beautiful world that's possible here. And it becomes way more fun. Can I tell you?
I would say you've achieved a miracle here, because you've managed to shut the three guys up on top of me up for 20 minutes. I'm not exactly sure what's behind that, whether they are in agreement or whatever, but they seem to be tongue-tied, or either that or what?
Or respectful.
Yeah. No, I honestly was just listening and digesting it. So myself personally, I'm a first generation not racist. Okay. I come from
What does that mean? Wait a minute.
So
define that.
My grandfather was the Grand Dragon of the Ku Klux Klan about 40 miles north of me, up until maybe 10 years ago. And then my dad, although he's never overtly said he was racist, participated in some of those meetings. So and I grew up around it, blatant racism, being in restaurants. My grandpa would see a mixed couple come in and, I can't believe he's ruining that white woman. And I'm just like, we're in public, but it was a normal thing growing up, and it just never stuck with me. It was something at like 10 years old. I was like, I'm not going to this. I heard one meeting and I was just like, nah, not for me. And that's probably why I married my wife, probably out of spite a little bit, just to piss him off because she's Puerto Rican. And but it's one of those things where, growing up, it's just racism never made sense to me because it's asinine to think of that's the reason that we judged. And because I mean, like, I try to get in that mindset, and like, you just look at anyone else of any color and you still just see eyes, nose, and a mouth. It's not something not even a thing that even registers. Like, I noticed that GD creeps me out, but for many other reasons. Black is not one of them.
No, it's the hair. It's definitely the hair.
It's definitely the hair. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, Stephen, I hear what you're saying, because like my kind of upbringing was like that too. Like a lot of people on my mom's side of the family, I mean, they love setting the civil rights movement back with their hard R's. I mean, they're not afraid to drop them. And and like when I was growing up, I can remember like I would be taking a bath. My grandmother is like bathing me, and like I had, you get dirt and stuff on you, like on your elbows and stuff like that. And she would say, "Oh, hey, it looks like you have some N-word babies on you." She was not. She would just
no. And what that does, guys, what it does is, one, ancestrally, right? This is what we're inheriting. And two, it's in your subconscious that you need to belong. So there is a fear of not belonging, of saying too much or being too vocal against people that are supposed to love us. And that sort of separation is not love. And so the entire white society as it exists in the system of separation suffers. They suffer because they live with fear and anxiety. And this is clear. That's why they build like enclaves, gated communities. They separate themselves in like an insulation of like all these things and all this greed and all this festering, separation, so that they can feel safe, because there's this incessant fear of not belonging in that separation. When you're at the top, you got a long way to fall. And you know that you can fall, and in the ways that it can happen. And if you know that our value goes up with money, that our value goes up with beauty, that it goes up with, if you've got a six-pack, that it goes up if you're married, if you've got the 4 kids all lined up wearing the same thing on Easter at church, when you've got the appearances, when you've got young and youthful, you've done your whole face up and you look like, you know what I mean? You know where you line up. And because we all know it, we're all in it, because we understand it without saying it. And we all know when the door closes what it sounds like and what words are spoken. And we know we've carried a lifetime of this interiorly, shame, guilt, because we know, but we don't speak to it. But we've got to get it out. We've got to talk about it like this way, to be really honest and really transparent, that this shit's gone on a long time. And it's been very confusing and hard to live it in and not feel afraid and anxious. Why are we all drinking so much? Why are we all on drugs and antidepressants? Like, we've got everything, except you don't, because what's called love is actually conditioned belonging. And when we deviate from that, we don't belong, right? You marrying your wife and she's Puerto Rican, people in your family didn't like it. And they didn't have to say it. You already knew it. You knew it wasn't going to go down the same way, and you let them down and whatever, and you deal with that however you deal with it. But if you really were free, you just wouldn't give a shit, because it would never affect you, because what it would reveal to you is who's on the other side and where they're at in their journey, because it doesn't matter. And you married her for her energy and for being well for you, because that's love and that's what it's about. And truthfully, but we do care. And where I was really struggling, like, why do I care so much? I've never cared so much what people think. I realized it was because I had so much trauma as a young girl that I had an intense fear of not belonging. It wasn't normal. It was like just beyond to get away from this system, because the fall seemed so great. There was like, to go to the other side, it seemed like unthinkable. But I just realized, well, fuck it, I'm going to die. And if I'm going to err on the right side of humanity, I got to get aligned and I got to be right with myself. I don't care what anyone else thinks. It's offended so many people that were around me. They were like, "You're not racist." I'm like, "I am. And so are you. But if I am, that means you are, like, because you can't accept, you have these thoughts, you think like this, and we don't talk about it. It's just the way it is, Sonia. You can't change it. I say, it's not the way it is. The way it is we're equal. The way we act is that we're not. And until the world gets there, this will persist. And it's a very simple message. I'm not here to shame anyone into thinking it. You know what you think. You know what your experiences are. I'm here to shine a light on it with compassion for all humanity, with compassion for everyone that suffers. Everybody suffers in this system. We don't want others to be hurt. It hurts us. And
that's true.
One love.
But the issue with, because again, it comes down to working on yourself, right? But with self-reflection, often will come feelings of guilt and, oh, gee, how did I arrive at that place? And is that in me naturally, or is it something I learned? And those are kind of things that that we deal with all the time. But depending on the individual, you can lead yourself down a real path of self-hatred by examining yourself and seeing the racist behavior that you have attributed to yourself, and then feel guilty about that, and end up in a vortex of self-hatred.
Yeah, and that's why people avoid it. And I sat with that, and it was vicious. It was horrifying. Like, honestly, like, I thought to myself, oh my God, like, I wept. I wept for days. Sometimes I would just wake up and think about it, like, and just cry and cry, because I felt I had to open my heart to the fact that, like, and become very empathic to the fact that we are one. And when I saw the atrocities that are perpetrated on others, those children that are shot, those are our children. Those are my children. I cried like they were my children. And to not know that, and to stopped somewhere in our life feeling like that we are one and that we belong to each other, and not feel this pain. It's why we stopped feeling it, because there's so much of it. And that's also ingrained in us, this terrible fear that, like, we can't be that. You can't have that and perpetrate on you. It just happens that I have more in this system, and I have benefited from it. I have had benefits from it, and accepted that, and not fought against this, and not said no. And it's like, I don't have to give up what I have. That's the other thing I want to say. It is that suddenly someone comes with a truck and takes everything I have. But I also become much more sharing of my time, more vulnerable and compassionate to all people, to say, I see your suffering. I see you're in separation, and I want you to feel safe on the planet. I want you to have less fear and more fun while we're here.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Do you think there is no validity to the evolutionary biologists who say prejudice is a natural thing for protection, and there are some prejudices that are really important for survival?
I believe that it is like that, but that our way of thinking about it like that is evolutionary. So it is out of fear of survival based on the system.
So if I look at GD, and think, well, he's going to be a better basketball player than me, but he's not going to be as good a swimmer as me, is that racism, or is that just like prejudice of the majority of Black people are going to be better basketball players than me?
And it's not to say that everything, like the arguments of this, that like everything then goes away, like that there's a tendency for race people who are athletic to be good at sports. I mean, like, because they're athletically built. Like, right. That's nonsense. It's because they're athletically built. It's not because they're Black. People who are athletically built are good at sports. And like, so there's a predominance of that in some cultures. That's not unusual, like, to think, but we want to say it's this. But to have assumptions of someone based on skin color, it's like, when someone would typically give me this argument, oh, well then, when someone's robbing a store, how are we supposed to describe them? We're not supposed to say they're Black. And I say, well, it's because you throw all common sense out the window. If you had one person doing something, and they're this, like, and you describe them in every single way that you can, one way would be to describe their skin color, their hair color, their height, their weight, their shape, what they were wearing, all of it. Okay. But that doesn't mean that the next person that you meet who has that skin color is robbing stores. And that's all. This is racist, how it works. And it's like that we've been shown this so repeatedly, is so ingrained in us, and it is brainwashing and conditioning, and it is the fear of separation that it exists in the system. Yes, we evolve to have these prejudices, and then we substitute that as though that is common sense. It is not. Common sense is common sense, and you could use common sense when you need to describe someone in a situation. But if I have anybody, one person walk up on me, 8 billion people in the world, how many people have you actually met? How many people have you actually talked to in your life? You may be more than some, Matt, because you talk to more people. But I'm saying one of us, how many? 1,000 people would you even say you've met in your life and had a real conversation with them and that you could say you know? You don't even actually know who we are. One person in myself, it took me 50 years to learn who this person was and what she stood for and what she thought about and who she is and what she represents. And yes, I've evolved. This is a project. How much of my energy am I putting into others? Not like lump a whole group of people together and think that I know them.
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, I got to say, me and GD met years ago, and when me and GD first met, and I shook his hand, I was like, "Yeah, this guy doesn't play basketball."
No, you beat him, didn't you?
Yeah.
One-on-one, you totally kicked his ass. I get it.
Yeah, I was like, I have a chance.
Well, and at that point, it was true because I had tore the right cartilage in my knee, and I was not playing basketball or football or tiddlywinks. I wasn't playing anything.
I like Jeselnik's joke. He said, "I don't believe in racism. Why should we judge an entire group of people simply on the way they all act?" Yeah. Anyway, so how is this message being received?
Can I counter that point? Okay, yes. Because that point where people want to default to that is also the assumption is that those people act like that because of their skin color. But right. Humans act like that who've been treated unjustly.
Absolutely.
All humans. So you could put any kind of human, you put us in a group and you treat us unjustly where we don't get a fair shake, where we don't get a chance, where you're going to get a door closed, you're going to get unfairly treated, you're going to get angry and upset. And that's how people act who are treated unjustly. It isn't that it's because there's a skin color issue. It's because we made it that way and caused frustration in human beings. And when we get frustrated and we get stymied and we get smothered and we're not allowed to express ourselves or we're not allowed to be without threat or fear on top of we're targeted, we will act differently. And that's not right.
PD, I'll let you chime in here, but I just want to say that or observe that in the world that I grew up, it wasn't skin color. I mean, skin color certainly absolutely plays a part in that. But I grew up in an area that was Italian. It was Italian, Irish in a different area, Jews in another area, and then blacks north of the tracks. And the separation, there were stigma and grouping of ideas of, well, you're Italian, you must all be like this. You're Irish, you're all like this. You're Jewish, you're all like this. And we were basically different shades of what we call white, but there was still that separation, even though skin color was the same. So it's not always about race. It's just about difference. Yeah,
well, we're all different, but all equal. And that's where people get, I feel like, confused. My theory is that what makes us equal is the amount of light energy that we hold. That's our soul. That light energy pack that I got, that's what you got. That's what they've got. That's what everybody's got, and it's equal. And now the vessel that holds me is its own recipe. I'm a one-off, and this recipe, based on my architecture and this voice, is a signature that the universe recognizes. And that's true of every person. So what is different is everything else that's about me. And yes, we're different. This is where I'm saying we don't have to give up. I'm not asking anybody to give up their community center, their culture, or like say you can't have, your family and your things. That's not it. It's a belief system that the color of our skin will dictate our worth or our value. You cannot measure human beings. This system has to be dismantled. The ways, and because people will, whether it's race, if you're in the system of separation, you're somehow subjected to this say you lose all your money. One guy goes and jumps off a building. He kills himself because he's lost his money. So he believes his self-worth is based on that. A woman injects her face and is tortured because she's getting old and her skin is sagging and she can't live and she's unwell. She believes her self-worth is tied to her beauty. Okay, do you see, like a person who's gay who can't come out, like they're just tortured because they're pretending to be something because they can't face the fear of being, well, and this would be like being right and left-handed if it were normalized. If we said we are all one and whatever this one person is, they'll reveal themselves. And I'll just meet everybody like I'm meeting a new universe. And I'm just going to see you and see where you show up. And I don't need to put any kind of label on it. I'm just going to be you. What's your name? You're Matt. Matt Apple. How are you? This is who you are. I'm going to want to meet you and talk to you. But my extent of how many people I could actually do that with in a lifetime, very limited compared to the number of people there are. And so in pockets, in ways that we are as in societies, it boils down to smaller communities, and we're with who we energize with. Like, we're just going to be attracted to the same sorts of energy. But imagine if we were all like interested in others, if we were open to knowing each other, if we were fascinated by what we saw instead of threatened by it. People are fascinating. It is endless what you could find in one person. They're absolutely amazing. And when we're blocked from seeing that person at all, it's such a tragedy. It's such a loss to us as a humanity. It's like it steals all the fun right out of it.
Right. GD, did you want to comment?
I've never met a comedy booker then.
What's that?
I'm not sure if you've ever met a comedy booker then.
Booker? I don't
he doesn't like them.
No, I'm just saying they don't have great reputations, just as people in general.
Well, but that is not necessarily related to anything racial or anything like that. It's just that they turn out to be there are bad people.
Yeah.
And I would say that vocationally, a lot of bad people are gravitate towards being comedy bookers. Let's put it that way. TD, did you want? I think I cut you off. Did you have a comment or?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that thank you, boss, for letting me chime in.
You're welcome. Is that it?
No.
You got work to do, don't you?
Work to do. Yeah. I did. Matter of fact, thank you. And it will be, your cotton will be picked by the end of the day. Don't worry about it. I got you. Now, I, in principle, I agree with a lot of what you're saying, and I don't find fault with that. I have issues with like the word equal, and only because in my mind, we all have gifts, and as a result, not everyone has the same gift. So in my mind, we're not all equal. Or at least, I'm having issues just with that syntax or just with that phrase, because I accept the fact that we're not all the same and that we should all be treated with respect and all of that. I just have to trouble with the word equal because, first of all, if I believe in that concept, then I can't be superior to my siblings. So that's no.
You could be more talented still. Like, I mean, you could go for that and just say you're more accomplished or you're more talented or whatever. You have a different type of energy and an expression that creates a different outcome, and that's what we're here to do, is to sort of delve into what are our superpowers and how can we, elicit change or do what we do. And in that regard, no, like, people aren't doing the same things, and not to the same extent, and not for the same reasons. And one might be nefarious and one might be for good, because that's this realm and that exists. The reality is that the majority of people in the world are racist. Like 8 billion people, this is a big separation. It occurs in everybody, everywhere, in all cultures, across lines, across like the ways that people are. And it's like, why? We believe it. And if we unbelieve it and we just start rejecting this, like actively rejecting it and saying, no, I'm going to go with the new way. And I'm going to say this, that we are equal in the sense that everyone has a right to be. That's what I think of meaning equal. I have a right to be, and that this border is mine. You don't cross it without my permission.
You see that's where because that's how I raised the kids. That with that phrase, we have the right to be, so to speak. But I never told them that we were equal or that we're all the same. But we just had the right to exist and to treat each other with respect. And I don't even remember. I didn't even tell my kids, treat people as you want to be treated, because you may want to be treated like shit. So forget that. You treat them, treat them the way you want them. Now, I just treat them nice and with respect. Period. Regardless of how you want to be treated. Because, like I said, some people have low self-esteem, and I did my best to raise the kids with self-esteem, so that they could. I used to tell them that you all have a superpower. My job as a parent is to find out what your superpower is, and hopefully you'll use it for good.
Yeah. And I'm not here to try to convince anybody to love anyone else. It is truly about that low self-esteem. It is about what we see in ourselves. If we actualize who we are and we become aligned and become peace and be the change. If we ourselves go inside and heal that heart and become love, not be loving, just become love, become what you are, then you will by default love everyone. It's impossible not to. Because once you see the light in yourself, like what you actually are, and the way that you've been held separated out of fear from your own self, because if you hold any of these values as valid, you cannot truly love yourself.
Right.
In my stand-up routine, I occasionally refer to a situation where when I'm in my space of oneness, be it on the beach or at the lake or whatever, I am totally unaware of my quote race, my gender. I'm just none of those things. I'm not aware of any of those things. I just am, plain and simple. And usually that comes to a screeching halt when someone approaches me and then they put the shit right now, like they put onto me what they see me as, and it becomes self-infected. They've ruined my space. Now I become reaware that they see me as not just a man, but a black man. And in some cases, not just a black man, but a threatening black man. And in some cases, a threatening black man who stole a white woman for a wife. And I didn't steal her. She came along willingly. That was part of my reparations package. But when I'm unto myself, I'm totally unaware of these things. And quite often I have to, when I think of my friends, my close friends, not these guys I'm on the show with, but my real close friends, the ones that actually like me, I actually am unaware of their race, or I have to think about their ethnicity. I think about their name.
Right.
And I sometimes will forget about their ethnicity unless it comes up.
Right. But that's because you see energy, because you see yourself as love, as energy.
And I'm superior to everybody else.
He does.
Possibly because that energy is superior energy. It's bliss. And when you see that, you love others, and you are susceptible then to that negative energy, that low vibration that pulls on you, that's mistreating you. And I'm sorry that is the world. Like, I really am. It's like, and where I can see, like, okay, look, I was plugged into there. I'm going to try my best to articulate to the world what I know, to help someone end this for someone else, like for us to be one, to treat each other well and to be loving, because I do love myself. So I love everyone else. I see everybody when they treat you poorly, remember they suffer, and just know that they reveal where they are on their journey. They do not know love, which means they don't love themselves, and they think they do, but they don't. They suffer.
I know they suffer because I slash their tires in the parking lot as soon as I leave.
Well, their misery. It doesn't matter any amount of what they have or what you perceive as their privilege. They don't have love. And where love and spirituality go together, and inside a person, certain cultures, and I want to say Black culture, has that to a much greater degree. Much greater. It's a much healthier way to be. Even people would argue with me on this, I know, for some reasons, but because suffering creates an awareness. You know, when you're at the bottom, you will have to, when you hit that dark night of the soul, you've got to just do it for yourself, and you reject what is not for you. Like, it's happening. That's a forced position, but then it engages the spiritual core in that person much more readily than the heightened one. In this system of separation, it's a dried up, bland, unspiritual, unsatisfying, unjoyous way to be. It is like the pursuit of pleasure becomes extremely heightened because we've got to fill it with some way to like a hit or something. So it's always about golf. You got to go do something. You got to go have something. You got to go be something. You can't just be with yourself. Heaven forbid you ever sat still and just sat with your dried up, unhappy self, stressed out, crazy, weird, like neuroses, because you would have to face that. Even though you have everything and it should look like you got the world by the tail, you feel like misery. And that is a truth that a lot of us have a hard time admitting.
Now, I can't, I guess I can help, but immediately my brain went to the fact that when you were referring to people suffering and I guess developing, a better sense of self because of suffering, somewhere out there is an asswipe who goes, see, all that suffering that I caused them made them a better person. So I'm a better person for having made them a better person. Just saying, there's twisted logic.
There will always be an excuse to avoid self.
Right. Well, I'm just saying it, but that's
every reason to try to twist an argument to say this is the reason. You know, because we're not here to judge others or to be here to make others do anything. You're here for you. I'm here for me. That should be the way of the world, like that we are one-offs and that we are alone. Like, you're equal when you hit the planet. You came with that packet of light and you have the rights of a human being the second you land on this planet. You didn't need to grow up and get a job and earn it. Because this is where children have, our generation largely discounted, largely like you got no rights. I'll kick the shit out of you and you'll just shut up and do whatever. And a lot of times people treat people like that. If you get too old, we don't want you either. It's like, so you lose your rights and you lose your value in the society. Everybody's equal at all times because of the light. The way you choose to use it, the way you choose to express yourself, the only border that should exist in the world is the one around a body. If everybody acknowledge that and live by that, we wouldn't need guns, we wouldn't need passports. We just roam freely around the world with the understanding I can walk down the street, no one's going to take from me, hurt me, rape me, do whatever. You're not going to punch or kill me. It's like we're going to respect each other and not cross these lines. Well, then we'd have a lot less of the problems that we end up with because of judgment. It's like, and all this judgment is ingrained in the system of separation, and we all know the ways that we're valued, the ways that we judge it, what makes us valuable. It's just a default program, and we've got to dismantle it. It's not like how to fight to find a way to make ourselves equal in the system of separation. We've got to dismantle the system of separation and get to a system of wellness, of oneness, wholeness, of which is love. And love is acceptance, it's compassion, it's understanding, it's dialogue, it's the ability to hold different opinions and not lose your mind. Like, because even if we stood toe to toe, if again we have this disagreement and even it got heated, if we understand I'm not going to hurt your vessel and you're not going to hurt mine, well, we can get a lot done. We can get a lot out, but we won't go there. It's like men would just say, I'd rather pick up guns and kill people than deal with my feelings and sit with my own feelings because they'll make me feel like shit. And it's like, well, you're going to have to sit with those because it will, but it's the lesser way to get out of where we're at. We've got to get out of it.
So just to say, Ron, we were talking about last night. It's like 10. I didn't know if you were aware of the time. I know if you still have to do with you. Okay.
Yep, I'm doing good. I'll head out shortly.
I'm just looking out for you because I want to talk about you as soon as you leave. And that's why I'm looking out for you also.
We all want to do that. And I don't want to keep you forever, Sonia, but forever. But I know from our last conversation that you have a streak of optimism in you. I don't share that optimism. I think you know that. I'm pretty much of a pessimist. Do you believe that just talking about it and having these conversations is going to lead to a global, because this is not a an issue between you, me, and whoever else is in the room. This is a global issue. It's not even a national issue in United States, Canada, whatever. It's a worldwide issue. Do you really are you holding out hope and belief that we're going to make a difference with this conversation?
100%. 100%, I believe it. I believe that words spoken with truth from a heart are the most powerful force in the world. I also believe that the generation that's above us is saying goodbye, and that the Gen X generation and beyond is a generation that actually held a lot of trauma, but also created a space for healing for the next generations below us. Like, we created millennials, so we pivoted. Like I said before, we absorbed this trauma and then we pivoted and didn't pass a lot on that was there. So we have the instincts to want to be love, to be loving. And we feel poorly with the way the world is right now. And this is a collective global consciousness. We see the duality that's happening. We hear about, the new earth and the split in the consciousness and the collective consciousness, and the ways that when we have thoughts and when we voice things, it gains momentum, it gains power and energy, and that creates our reality. And so, yes, I believe this, because I believe that as my words land on people, their heart knows the truth. And they can't unknow it. When you know something, it's different than believing it. And I know that this is the way that the world should operate. And I know it. And when people hear it, they know it. They may not know how to get there yet, but you plant that seed and that's going to grow. Because they're going to come into contact with the next time they hear it, the next time they see it, they're going to think differently. They're going to approach someone a little bit differently. And they're going to be like, what am I actually saying? I'm not asking for a big ask here. I'm asking people to simply articulate what they want as a reality. And it's one love where we are equal, where none of the ways that we are separated matter, that are pertaining to the vessel, which is what we can see and what we can judge, and that we stop judgment and that we work together to get this out of us with transparency, with authenticity, with honesty, with accountability, so that we can move to a space where we can be one. And do I believe that? Of course. Of course I do, Matt.
Well, good luck. No, I don't want to blow out your candle. I'm just I applaud your light and the fact that you are an optimist. I just don't find it easy to be, especially in times where I see these issues getting worse, not better, on a societal level. I mean, I know individuals. Yes, I do. I know individuals who have made some improvement. I think, and my take on this, and for what it's worth, is that recognizing the shortcomings within yourself and being willing to work on them is enough. But most people, there's not a lot of that going on in society. When I look around, and especially what we're seeing in politics, and politics is part of life, is that there is this movement back to bring us back to the 1800s or the 19th century with regards to race and how we treat people and how we look at people differently than us. So I'm not an optimist.
I think that, though, because we live in this relative world and there is this duality, and this is a world of duality, as that polarizes, this also polarizes consciousness to heal. And that's the part, because people will have to choose, and the majority of people are not this. We are love, and we are one, and this will not speak to truth or wellness for people. And so the people that go here will suffer more, will continue to sort of spiral down, and it's not equal faction, because in a soul sense, there's a body in the middle that's being pulled, and it's going this way. As soon as I could spill some light on just the middle confused and say, look, this isn't well. This, once you hear this, you kind of know it. It's like, how did anybody go with this? How have we been thinking? People are ready to hear this message. They're not in the sense, this isn't the 1980s, where it was
unless you're wearing a red hat with 4
right.
letters on it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So no, I again, I appreciate you're being a warrior for good. um, I just can't be hopeful about it because I guess I'm down on humanity. Doesn't mean that I'm not willing to continue to look at my own shortcomings and try to improve on them. But it does, I
So Matt, let me ask you this: are you hopeful that you will look at your own shortcomings and?
I have been for quite a long time.
And that's all I'm saying is that, so I'm hopeful that you will. And when you change you and how you feel about you, when you learn to love you and to become love, you will change the world. That I know. And because you are the world in you. And that is being the change. And that is all I need for one person. I don't need someone to say, because the world won't change, I won't change. We be the change and we change the world. That's how it works. So you only got to think of one person. And if every one person hears this and an individual says, I could do me, just think in yourself to become aligned so that you can have tremendous fun, so you can feel free, so you can lose your anxiety, so you can feel safe in your body, safe in this world, so that we can have love and good time before we got to check out, because we're not here much longer. And I'm saying, if we want to make a difference, and we all do, the base of this generation is definitely one of love. Gen X, we held the suffering, so we are the chalice that can hold the light, and it is in us to want to save the planet. We love underdog movies. We love that whole concept of like when the music changes, dun, 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 dun. Like we want to be like that Rocky person where we come back and it's like they come back and we make this world what we always envisioned, one love. We can do this. And it is hard, but if anyone can do hard work, it's Gen X, because we've done it all along. We've done it on our own. We didn't get therapy. We didn't have help, and we can do this. Do you and heal you and change this world.
Well, I'm a boomer. That's probably the problem.
You too, Matt. I'm gonna leave you behind. But
anyway, did you win the $50,000?
I didn't.
You didn't.
No.
Oh, okay.
I was talking about. I get to go to the finals in November and give a speech, and I just will keep talking to anyone who will listen. I, just want people to read the books and
right the books, and they're all available at soniapollock.com.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, thanks for being here. You're welcome back anytime. This is a fascinating conversation. I don't know how it's resonating with people. I'd love to hear from them and write to me. And if I hear anything that I think you should be aware of, I will pass those messages along to you. Thanks.
I heart everybody's comments, because if you're hating, you need love, and if you love it, you're loved too. So I just heart everybody. I was like, I don't really care what people think.
All right. Have a great morning.
Thank you, Matt.
Bye for now.
Guys.
Bye.
Hi.
Stephen had a power out. Get out of my spot. Always taking my spot. Stephen had a power outage. He said sounds like somebody hit a pole or a transformer or something. So we lost Stephen for the day. Hopefully he'll be back tomorrow. I'm maybe we should go to mybookie.com and bet on who will be back sooner, Stephen or Willie.
Oh, Stephen, because right now he's trying to find a generator so he can power up his home, and he knows not to. And he already knows how to order a generator online and have it delivered to his home.
All right, now, do you guys want to? You don't want to share in public what your little secret conversation about why Ron has to pop
What's
out?
up to Ron? It was his secret. He told me not to even mention
something
it.
about a clandestine meetup with I don't know.
No,
I'll tell him, Ron, don't embarrass yourself. I'll tell him.
Titties and
Ron
beer.
is trying to buy some more slaves. He has to get to the boat before. No,
he undid this whole conversation then with just one move, one felt swoop.
I'm going to meet the manager of a venue that I possibly want to produce comedy shows at.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, me too. I'm doing that today too, but after 11:30, because I know there's a show on. But that's good luck with that, and report back.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because I stopped in there yesterday, and they told me if you would have been here a little sooner. This was like around noon, so they told me come in like before noon, and
That's when the owner's there. That's when the money man's there. That's when the guy who pays the check, who signs the checks and pays the bills is there.
Yeah, so I got to go by what they say. So,
all right. Lastly, before I let you go, is it a club that is or a venue in which video, like it's classy enough to shoot a like video production type of thing?
Maybe I've been told they have like a separate like little like banquet.
Oh, you haven't
room.
seen the room?
No, I've seen like the main restaurant, but like I've just heard things, so I'm gonna go and check it out and see if it's even worth doing. Plus, it's like 7 minutes from my house, if that.
Okay. And tonight you want people come out to the doghouse.
Correct. Yep.
All right.
8 o'clock.
All right. So you're gonna take yourself out, or do I take you out?
I'll take myself out.
Take yourself out. Enjoy yourself while you're taking yourself out. Have
See
fun.
you tonight, GD.
All right, man.
Now I gotta say goodbye to Govs. That little ding ding sound was Govs.
Thank God. I thought it was your